Terry Christopher is a social media active organizer. He founded March Against Mainstream Media, two events that protested the lies and bias of mainstream media and received international attention. He was the lead organizer of the viral Friend Bomb, social media tool that connected millions of truth oriented people. Terry uses his knowledge and skills in content creating, promoting, and marketing that being events to bring events to their full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Terry Christopher.
Thanks, Bobby. And thanks everybody at Acticon for having me here. It's a great pleasure of mine. Um, Thanks for that great introduction. My name's Terry Christopher. 27 years old, born and raised in South Florida. I started to uh, get active in activism. Hold on one second. I got an echo coming from behind me here. There we go. I started really getting active and starting to look around back in 2009. Um, I just started knowing that things were not right, and I started doing my own research on things. I started physically, like really physically, getting active with activism back in November 2012, under after California's Proposition 37 vote, which was requiring the labeling of genetically modified foods. It was voted against. It was struck down from becoming law, and the main reason that I really got involved is because I saw that there was $46 million that was raised and donated to the opposition of Prop 37, which was a group called Vote No on Prop 37 Deceptive Food Labeling Scheme. You had PepsiCo, Kraft, Bayer, Dow Industrials, Coca-Cola. They all donated an average of $2.5 million each, while you had companies like DuPont and Monsanto donating upwards of $10 million to this campaign. It was around that moment that it hit me that we weren't going to be able to compete with the corporate power that was going on without having a huge grassroots power in numbers. That's when I really decided to get active, and I first started working with some of the organizers for the first March Against Monsanto back in May 25th, 2013. Most of you guys probably know about it, but the first March Against Monsanto is one of the largest protests that I've ever heard of. They had 10 million estimated people spanning out 50 countries. Um, when I got home from that event that night, when I was out there and I came home, I saw the tiny amount of coverage that there was from the mainstream media about what had happened that day. We were in so many different countries with such a large event, and there was barely anything that was covered by the mainstream media. So when I got home that night, I came up with my own movement to combat that, which I called the March Against the Mainstream Media. And for those of you who might not know, March Against Mainstream Media, we had two international events. Our first one was in 15 countries. We had multiple events in every state in the United States, and it was all started and organized through social media, mainly on Facebook. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to tell you how I did it, and hopefully you guys can take some ideas away from it and incorporate it in any type of projects that you guys might be working on. The first part that I wanted to touch on was that I think it's important to have is your social media reach. And the reach is, how many people you have, how many fans you have, how many friends you have. If you post something, how far does it go? A key factor that I've found that's important in making a large event, and actually getting it up off the ground, is having a large reach. Um, and you have to have a large audience to promote to, or you're not really going to have an event. That's one of the main things that I've learned. Um, and I came up with an idea for this, and that was mentioned in my bio, which was the viral friend bomb. And I don't want to take too much time up on this, but I created a network of large fan pages on Facebook. They shared my concern with the mainstream media bias, and they were willing to make a post for me to plug my page and plug my event. Instead of plugging my page and the event right then and there, I used that share that was offered to me by each one of these fan pages to set up what I called the viral friend bomb post. And again, I don't have the time to get into details because I only have a set amount of time. But basically, what we did was we connected the fans from about 50 fan pages, having between 10,000 and a million fans, something like 5 to 10 million followers in total. And we created a post that was shared at the exact same time on all 50 of these pages, explaining how to join the friend bomb. And basically, we consolidated a lot of those fans from all of those pages to grow our own network. And after a week, I was maxed out on Facebook. I went from having, under 500 friends to having the maximum 5,000 friends. Our fan page went from having 200 fans to having 10,000 fans. I mean, this is in the span of a week. It was a very, very quick process, and it added potentially huge reach to our cause. So again, it's too much to really get into detail right now. If you have any questions about the friend bomb and how we set it up to have that done, you can get with me afterwards of the show or another time. I can give you some information on how we did it. We still also have a couple of the original friend bomb posts that have a few thousand truth-oriented, activist-minded type of people that are willing to join your network now. So it's kind of like a power in numbers thing. Once you've built that audience and you have a nice amount of reach, knowing how to use the reach, I find is very, very important too. Three things that I think that really that are really important to using that reach are, number one, creating custom content. Number two would be understanding Facebook algorithms. And number three would be organizing your foundational structure. When I started organizing the foundation of the March Against the Mainstream Media, I used group pages on Facebook to actually structure everyone together. By creating a group page on Facebook, you'd start a group chat with 50 people, I think is the maximum, and you can do it instantly. So you can add people to your group and instantly have this chat for everyone, so you can talk to everyone at the same time live. I started a main group for the core members of who we were going to have helping us. And then after that, I created a group for each department that I wanted to have within my foundation. For example, we started with the main March Against Mainstream Media group, but then I added a graphics, a videos, writers department, our public relations people. We had just a general volunteers department. I put someone in charge of each one of these departments to establish, like a clear channel of communication, to each of these areas that I wanted to work with, from graphics to writing to public relations. And it made it much easier to create a steady flow of custom content, like memes, videos, articles, stuff like that. It helped to keep our momentum up and our cause as something that was constantly being talked about and engaged on social media. So we were always being seen, our posts were going further. And I want to stress that custom content part, because the custom content is important because it plays a role in how much activity your page is going to get, and in turn, how far your reach actually goes. And assuming that you're making good custom content, the fact that it's new to a person and they've never seen it before, they're more likely to click a like or a comment or a share, or if you're on Twitter, a retweet or a favorite. And people are normally, they're not going to click, like or comment or engage on something that they've seen more than once or even more than twice. And that's important to note, because due to the algorithms, and I'm going to touch a little bit on Facebook's algorithms, your reach is based on your page's engagement from fans. The algorithms they're kept pretty secret. It's not just public information, but over time of managing pages and with the help of other research that I found through Facebook marketing for business, I've got a pretty good grasp, I think, on how the algorithms function. When you post something, Facebook is going to show your post to a percentage of your friends or fans. Depending on the time it takes for your post to get any engagement, to get likes, comments, or shares, that determines the percentage on how many more friends or fans are going to see the post. So, for example, I have 5,000 friends, and I'm just going to side note here that I believe that the number of friends that you have also determines your percentage of people seeing the post. So I don't know the exact number, the exact percentage, but on 5,000 friends, when I make a post, I'm going to make an estimated guess that my post reaches 1% of my friends, which is 50 people on 5,000 friends. If you have 100 friends, and maybe it'll be 15% of your friends, and maybe 15 people will see that initial post. But just for the amount of variables and the time's sake, we're just going to go off of mine, which is 5,000 in friends. So let's say that post reaches 1% of the people. If that post gets engaged within a certain time frame, and I don't know that exact number either, but the faster that your page or your post gets a like, a comment, a share, some type of engagement, that's going to let another amount of people, another percentage of people see your post. So what basically happens with that is if you have something that the content people are not really feeling your content and maybe they've seen it before, if you make a post to your 5,000 friends and you don't get any action on that post at all for the first 5 minutes, it's going to make it very hard for that post to go viral. Probably impossible. And by 5 minutes, I would say if no one has clicked like or comment, people are not going to see that post in their newsfeed at all. The only way that people are going to see that is if they actually go to your page and see it on your wall or on your timeline. So understanding the Facebook algorithms are very important for sending out that reach and having engagement with your cause. Facebook, I believe, goes even as far as having artificial intelligence read your post and the comments on your posts. Posts that are more positive are shown to higher percentages of people. Negative and spammy posts are shown to less amount of people. I think maybe higher definition images get a higher percentage than lower definition images. There's other things that I speculate that have an effect on the posts that are seen by clicking like or share on an actual post. If you share a post as opposed to making it organically, or adding a link to your post or adding a hyperlink to your post, I think that all of these things factor into how much reach your post actually gets, and that's something that's very important to know about because I see so many people that want to get involved with activism. They want to do things, and they're sharing the same old content that's going around, and they're actually sharing it. They're actually including links in it, and there's no engagement. You can clearly see that there's no likes, comments, or shares on their posts. They're just doing this for almost no reason. It's just no one's seeing it. So I think that's very important to know about, which is the algorithms. Another thing that I'd like to talk about, and something that I think almost all of my success for my for March Against the Mainstream Media comes from, is the way that we organize the foundation. I'm going to give you a little more idea of what I'm talking about. Without the proper organization and management, you're probably not going to have a large successful event. By setting up the departments that we used and putting a person in charge of them, you can maximize your time and your work. I used the personal reach that I had to make an inspiring post about the cause, about the March Against the Mainstream Media, and that I needed people to volunteer. And when you have that reach, when you have 5,000 truth-oriented friends, it's not very hard to pull out 10 to 50, to 100 people who say that they'd be interested in helping out. So I put all those people into the main group. I talk to them to find out, if they have any skills like, making their own content, making memes, editing videos, or if they write articles or anything like that. And if they don't, that's okay. I use them as regular volunteers for different things, like getting in contact with other organizations, public relations, gathering info. We had a team of 15 people that worked with us for our event that we had collecting um, the every we ended up collecting every studio location headquarters for every March Against or every mainstream media studio headquarters in the United States. We had to have all of their information, their address down to their longitude, latitude to create Google Maps interactive map that we had for our event, stuff like that. I mean, we had 10 to 15 people working on that for almost a month to get every single location. There's hundreds of them, so it's very important, to have them as well. Um, and once we got to that point, once we started putting everyone from the main group into different departments, um, it got to the point where we were like an oiled machine. We started to, I mean, any job that came up, anything that we needed to have done was just directed to the appropriate place where it should be. And it really got the wheels rolling at that point. That's how we really got as big as we did. So, I mean, just to recap on some things that I think are the most important when you're really trying to use social media to get a large event to happen. Having a strong reach for a larger audience, it's very important. Organizing the foundation, creating custom good content that people haven't seen before, and understanding the algorithms. I think by understanding these things, that you should be able to create a strong team for a huge audience, and you should be able to keep that audience engaged by seeing your content and keep them interested because it's stuff that's new to them that they haven't seen before. And I think if you use those steps, you can have a very large, successful international event if you want to. That's how we put it together, and that's how we got it done. So that's what I wrote for you guys. And those are just some of the things that we used to create our event. I have so many other things that I could be talking about, but I know that the time is kind of short. So, what kind of questions do you guys have? I'm not looking at the screen now, the chat. Let me see. Are there any other questions that I could touch on now for you guys? Hello?
Can you punch me in? I'll take over.
I'll take over. I will. Hey Terry.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay, so as far as some of the questions we might have for you, one of the questions that I've been really interested in is how do you form an event team? Across, you have events across the world with this March Against Mainstream Media.
Yeah.
And how do you form an event team when you actually can't meet in person with them? How do you get people excited about managing or joining an event without actually being in the room with them?
Well, I think one of the most important things is you have to really be passionate about what it is that the cause is, and you have to find people that also care about it, so you can kind of let your passion rub off on them. When I first started, the March Against Mainstream Media, I made this seem like it was the most important thing in the world. Like it was do or die. Like no other cause is near as big as my cause. And the way that I did that with the March Against the Mainstream Media was knowledge is power, basically. When people are not getting the information that they need, they can't make an informed decision. So I think with my cause, with the March Against the Mainstream Media, um, establishing that team wasn't very hard because this was something that people, once I explained to them what we were trying to do, people jumped right on. They said, yeah, this is very important. This is something that we really need to address. So, I mean, that right there was one of the biggest things that started our main foundation. I mean, we had, I think towards the end, we probably had over 50 people that were working within our groups, within our departments, doing different things. But when we first started, we were strong. We were strong, probably about 15 people with our chat going. Our chat was on 24 hours a day for 2 or 3 years, I'd say. I mean, that chat probably is still going with some of the main people. And I don't think I've met anyone out of our March Against the Mainstream Media foundation. There's a couple of people that you know. Was it Emily Lance, Jet Barnett, Morgan Conklin? There was a bunch of them. Allison Gold, Jennifer Dust. These were people that were very active in activism about a year, 2 years ago. They're like my best friends now, and I've never even met them before. So it just goes to show you how much potential there really is when founding an event through social media. It definitely can work, and it worked great for us.
Okay, give us a feel for the actual event management structure. So, what were the names of your departments? What did these departments do? Were your people who were leadership of each departments, were they usually working 12 hours a day, or was it more of an hour here and there? Like, give us an idea so that we can set up something similar of your actual management structure for the event.
Okay. Well, I started off with just a post. I just made a post on my personal social media page, my personal Facebook page, just explaining what I wanted to do, and if there was anybody that wanted to get active and join. From that post, I would say there's anywhere between 10 and 50 people that engaged the post. I went and personally messaged each one of them, explained a little bit deeper about what it was that I was trying to do, and got an answer from them on if they wanted to be involved or not, if they wanted to volunteer or not. I didn't put any time limits on them. I didn't constrain them or tell them what to do or anything like that. It was just you volunteer, your time, whatever you can do, you can do. I put them all in the main group chat, the main group chat, and from there I started asking them, who has any skills with Photoshop, who has any skills with Cinema, Windows, Movie Maker, stuff like that. Does anybody have any publications that they write for? Does anybody know anybody with large social media reach, or does anybody know anyone that has a publication that they write for? So I tried to basically like spider web out to find who could do what. And then I just created the different groups. I created one for graphics. One was two for graphics. One was for making memes and pictures and flyers. Another one was for making videos and doing recording and stuff like that. I had one for writers. I had one for public relations. And then I had one for just general volunteers. And that was the one that would do all of our researching. They would do all of our spreadsheets. They made the maps to our events. Dan, I think you had one of those they gathered every single alternative media publication and every college radio station that did news. That was one that they actually built. That was huge. So when I put those, it was about five. I would say it's about 5 groups that we had. Within those 5 groups, I told them that if they had a friend or two that could help out and be involved, and it just powered by numbers. It just started to become a numbers game. One friend adds 2 friends, those 2 friends add another 2 friends, and then you're huge. You have tons of people that are helping. As for the time, it wasn't really. Some people like Emily, she was on there all the time, and they were always doing things. But really, it came down to when I had something that I wanted to get done, I would throw it in there. I would go into the graphics department and I would tell, Barnett, we need this graphic, this graphic. Let's make a graphic about this. Let's make one about this. I would go into our public relations department. I'd say, you try to get in contact with these people, try to get in contact with these people, try to get in contact with these people. I'd go into the writers. I need an article about this. I need a press release about this. I need, and stuff like that. And once I had those departments set up, it was kind of like I could do a lot. I could get a lot more work done by outsourcing it to these different departments than I would have ever been able to do with just having a group of people together. Would have never, it would have been too much chaos. Would have never got done. So yeah, having those different departments, we set up. We started with the main group. We set up everybody that I needed for my event, which was mostly it was all social media. So I didn't really need anybody in person to do things, but graphics, videos, writing, reaching out to people, and then regular volunteers. And from there, as soon as we had that structure and we had the team that was going to stay, there was nothing that we couldn't overcome at all.
Fantastic. That is really good to hear and some really good information. We've got a question in the chat, actually, from Vincent. He says, so how can you get initial followers for new event pages with very few friends?
That's a good question. To get the initial followers for a new event without having many friends, I think it's very tough. I really don't have an answer for that. My answer would be to get your friends up, get your reach up. And I can help you out with that if you go to my Facebook page. Facebook actually deleted a lot of those friend bomb posts that we did. The friend bomb posts were done, I would say, probably every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for about 2 or 3 months. So every Sunday we started off with 15, 20 pages, and then I had so many pages that were wanting to get into the friend bomb. I couldn't fit them all. We did this post every Sunday, and it basically consolidated all of the fans from all of these pages together. So we took a large list of Facebook pages that pretty much shared the same main goal. They were all very truth-oriented, very activist-oriented pages. So with that logic, all of the fans that follow those pages were, for the most part, the same truth-oriented, activist-oriented type of people. So by making the post connecting all of these pages together, we, in essence, connected all of the fans together. Each event page ended up getting the fans from all the other pages, and then all of the fans became friends with all of the other fans. So, for example, I go on my people you might know on Facebook, and I look through, and I have tons of people with thousands of mutual friends. It's crazy. Every single friend I look to, I don't have a mutual friend that doesn't have more than 100 mutual friends just from these friend bombs. So I still have some of these initial friend bomb posts, and Facebook deleted some of them because it's against the terms and conditions of Facebook to use it as a marketing kind of program, or using personal pages as marketing. So they deleted a couple of those posts, but there's still a lot of them with thousands of shares, likes, comments. And basically you can just go through them and everyone just makes a post on that, everyone comments on that post just saying, add me. And you go through and you add all of those people, until you're full. And once you've done that, you have 5,000 friends. That's going to give you the boost that you need to start whatever event it is that you want to start. If you can be passionate about it, once you have that reach and you have, a couple thousand friends, you make a post being passionate about it. You pull 5, 10, 20, 50 people that are passionate about it as well. You tell each one of those to get a friend, and you've got 100 people that are ready to get on your team to start putting them into departments to get your event really rolling. It's basically you're starting the foundation of it's almost like a business. It's like a company structure. There's a chain of command that's involved. But by having that, the top person of your event can get so many more things done by handing them out and outsourcing them to each one of these departments. So I don't know, did that answer the question?
I would say, yeah, that pretty thoroughly answers the question. And we're coming here to the end of ActCon 3. I want to thank you very much for joining us for ActCon 3 and for being a speaker, being a participant.